And good afternoon, good evening, and good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back. We are continuing with our trend of the OlimoLeague 210 replays with another amazing series from these two players down here in the top position. He is Solar. And his opponent who has some cheeky shenanigans on the other side of the map. He is BYUN. Now, we have been following BYUN's run through the tournament so far. He has already taken down Hurricane and DRG in two very clean tournament series. But we have got to keep going to the end of this guy's run because he is such a good player. It is always so much fun to watch him play. And this is one of the reasons he is not afraid to drop down some very cheeky shenanigans. Now, already this is going to be a 3-Rax Reaper. Usually on Jaganantha, what he likes to do is he likes to block off his main ramp with those racks. And what that allows him to do is stay safe versus any kind of counterattack while he builds up. But from here, he's going to be able to get right on top of the drone line very quickly with these Reapers. And it's going to be very interesting to see how heavily he's going to commit to this now, because this is almost a complete all-in kind of strategy from BYUN if you don't get that much damage done. So first Reaper going to come in, might get a kill here, but Solar's a little bit too quick for him right now. So BYUN having some trouble getting those kills, but he's already being such a big nuisance, and now Solar kind of understands something strange is happening. And the second Reaper kind of confirms that he needs to defend. He's already going down for the Spine Crawler, just anything he can to mitigate some damage. Sacrificing a lot of these lings for the sake of the drones. This is a lot of lost mining time for Solar right now. But already coming in. Once again, the Spine Crawler going to be able to root. He doesn't lose the Queen either, which would have been a huge pickup for BYUN. And I mean, from here, BYUN is pretty much free to kind of jump around and rotate as much as possible with these Reapers. And keep in mind, BYUN still only on one base behind all of this, so this is going to be dicey for him if he can't kill Solar or at least cripple the economy. The longer this goes on, however, the better it's going to be for Solar. He's going to have speed here in roughly 10 seconds, so that does mean he is going to be in a much better position. Especially now that he can kind of just dive on top of this Reaper ball and take it out. But, you know, BYUN, with his Reapers, it's kind of one of the things that made him completely famous. And as we see, he is not going to be too aggressive with them, just not committing too hard onto the creep. He wants to make sure he can keep as many of them as alive as possible, getting a bunch of them to heal up. And now the question is, how is Solar going to break out of here? Keeps trying to engage right there, but just not able to get the surface area that he needs to finish this off. Already so many of those queens are falling, so that is some good damage from this. But again, it's all in from BYUN. He still doesn't have a second base. He's only just now remaking some workers and actually just going to go up to a factory behind this. So if he is trying to get out of this, it's going to be a very tricky position for him, as Solar has completely stabilized, doubled the army supply, and unfortunately actually just equal in the worker count. So that is BYUN's saving grace right there, is that Solar has been completely perplexed and only making Lings. Now this does open up BYUN to the possibility of a counter attack. If these Reapers even go out for just a second, or if he's able to get cleaned up here, then Solar is going to be able to push his way across the map. But you know, BYUN just continuously growing in the Reaper count, just spawning him in 3 at a time. This is just very interesting here, and I would actually like to see if he adds on any Hellions with this. I think a Hellbat timing to follow this up would literally just be the end of it. As he rotates around, we can see he's going to take an even bigger engagement right there. Loses a couple of those Reapers. But Solar, I gotta say, is being very patient with all of this. He's not trying to dive on top of them. That's when KD8 charge kind of gets the best positioning there. But if you take a look at the units lost, already 56 Lings have gone down with those 3 Queens for the cost of 8 Reapers. And I don't know about you, but that's about as cost effective as you can get right now. Now Solar going to be going for a bit of a counterattack, but we already have Hellions out on the field. The Armory as well going down, so he's going to be following this up with a bit of a Hellbat timing. And Solar, to his credit, he did get that transition into the Roaches, which will help him a lot on the defense. But I'm really curious to see when BYUN pulls the trigger, if there will be enough Zerg at home to defend. The Roaches do need to fight together, because if you leave them alone for just a second, they the Reapers will just chew through them. So it's going to be very important for those Roaches to stick together. The Lings, I think right now, not expendable, but you can kind of be a bit more aggressive with them. Try and pick off the reinforcements as BYUN is going to be pushing across the map. I think that's kind of one of the best options here, because the thing about BYUN is when he starts the push, he just never stops, like, at all. He just likes that parade push kind of style where he's always in your face. He's never really giving you a chance to breathe, and he kind of just suffocates you based off of that. So if you can pick off the reinforcements, kind of just keep the push weak and kind of whittle him down in the front, that's how you essentially beat him in most situations. BYUN once again going to trade out a couple of these Reapers for some Lings and a Roach. The funny thing is, these army supplies, if we take a look at them, are very deceiving, because a lot of that is in the Reapers, and the Reapers are going to be starting to lose their utility as the game goes on. I mean, we're already at the 9-minute mark, and we have only a 3-base Zerg, a 2-base Terran, and a whole ton of Reapers. So already this game is already super entertaining. But here we go, the Reaper's going to be coming up, as well as the Hellbats in the rear. We do have a Banshee in the natural as well, so just some additional damage right there. Hellbat's starting to tank a lot of this as they're pushing the Roaches back. The drone line at the 3rd is under threat. Now BYUN has been pushed back, and he is down over 20 supply right now, but he did get quite a bit of damage for not that much loss, just a couple of Hellbats, which are just pure mineral units. I kind of see how Solar is attempting to kind of set up for these counterattacks, to set up for these pushes, but he's always falling back in a way where BYUN is just being given so much room to breathe, even going up to that third base. I was not expecting this game to go anywhere near this point with how aggressive BYUN was being with these Reapers. But now it's Solar's turn to get some damage done, as we do see those mutalisks popping out. He's got a huge ball of them on the way soon. Just going to send those straight from the main base. There are no missile turrets anywhere around here. And the Marines a little bit out of position to the third base, so this is really Solar's time to shine. So far, only getting the 3 workers wide here as he's trying to push the front is BYUN. But now we see Solar just kind of rotating around with these mutalisks towards the third and the main base at the same time, forcing BYUN to keep a lot of those Marines segmented in those locations. Solar just easily able to find these small holes as well where there is no defense from BYUN. Now actually looks like he's just going to try and dive on the missile turret. Gets a couple of more workers there as the Banshee kind of peters out. We'll have to retreat off of that. But I gotta say, all things considered, this game is relatively even at this point for where we are. Although if we take a look at that income tab, that's kind of the big thing in Solar's favor, up over 1,000 in that resource count. So now it's a bit of a 1-2 punch here for BYUN as he's going to be moving in with that siege tank pressure, as well as the Reapers on the left side. Not that many Banelings, and they don't have speed either. So that's a really big opportunity for BYUN to kind of focus fire them down. He was back and went for the defense as well. But this is going to be enough to push it back. A couple of those siege tanks do go down. Doesn't even really need to focus fire on those ones. They just go down so easily. Bang's not able to get the connections, but Solar is going to be able to push this back. Unfortunately, that does leave his left side very weak. So now it's kind of the problem of he doesn't have enough units in either location to defend. He's not where he needs to be. And he's just losing these high expensive queens, which is going to hurt him in the later stages as he needs those for those transfuse to keep up with BYUN right now. Now Solar, to his credit, is up over 50 supply, but you know, the thing is, these roaches, they don't scale too well. They only have +1 upgrades to the +2 of BYUN. And although he's being pushed back here, I'm actually not too worried for BYUN right now. One thing to note is that Solar doesn't have enough to kind of push in here anymore. And BYUN took a really nice kind of trade. And that's why I'm still liking his position in this game. We do see that he's going up to those +3 upgrades. Only now is +2 Carapace starting. And so from here, BYUN is just going to have the ability to take much better fights than Solar is right now. Especially since the creep nowhere near where it should be right now. It's only in a couple locations where it's really been respread. And that's going to hurt for any kind of attack that's BYUN decides to go for. But here we go. This is Solar's best opportunity to get some work done. Huge bio connection right there, going to connect everywhere. BYUN on the other side of the map going to go for a little bit of a counter pressure here, but that's a lot of his army supply in that drop. 18 workers going down. Solar pushing his way forward. And I mean, on the other side of the map, BYUN not getting any damage done whatsoever. His army supply plummeting to over half of Solar's. Even then, you gotta have to pick up and get out of there. Looks like he denied that +3 upgrade, which is his saving grace. But Solar actually going to go on the retreat. He wants to clean up this drop as quickly as possible. BYUN didn't get anything done with that one either. Killed off the base, but didn't get any of these drones. So now Solar is just going to keep on the attack. It looks like that +2 character is going to be finishing up. A little bit of a focus fire on the Bailey is going to make sure they don't get the best connections. But it's the Biles and the SCD kills, which are really storming on top of Solar right now. Even going to kill off the third, so Solar's lead is just increasing over and over again. Down to only 42 workers. I think Solar has got this one in the bag a little bit. Just a little bit, though. BYUN is holding on for dear life at this point. Another big swarm of Banelings just completed. And with the Ravagers, with those Biles, there's just no real AoE with this fight. One of the Wood Mines almost going down as well. Banelings getting on top of everything. A couple of those Wood Mine shots get some good connections on the Banelings. And a good concave for BYUN, but he is forced back off this third base again, which is just his main lifted off. Looking at it now, Solar may have overextended a little bit as he's sending his reinforcements across the map, but back at home he's starting to lose some of these drones. And while that does get cleaned up, the mutas were not here for this fight. So now BYUN starting to clean this up a little bit, even though he did lose 10 more workers. Now he's going to have to focus fire down those mutalisks, losing even more medevacs, so these bile connections have just been intense. Now saying that BYUN actually catching up in terms of that army supply, even surpassing him. And now he is on the attack. This is almost a last-ditch effort here, because he needs to kill some units from Solar. He needs to do more damage than he has been, and he needs to close things out quickly if he is going to get back in this game. Solar overextending a little bit with those mutalisks, going to lose another one. Now, BYUN, to his credit, has held on for right now. He's been impossible to kill so far. The problem is that he only has +2 attack right now. He needs to get that +3 to make these fights go better for him. So they're going to be coming in the Bane. He's about to get some huge connections. There's some really good shots right there. The Widowmines clean up what's left of those Banelings, though. And some good focus fire going to help out as well. Third base is going to go down. Small little push going to be coming up here, going to kill that base off, but you know all the mutalisks are dead. It's pretty much going to come down to the Lynx, and actually Solar, after being ahead for so long, taps out. BYUN takes game number 1 of this best of 3 series, which means we will be hopping into game number 2, so see you guys in a sec. So after an action-packed game number 1, we move on to this. Lightshade LE spawning up here in the top position. He is Solar. And his opponent down here in the bottom, he is BYUN. So Solar took those advantages. He took a lot of good fights. Unfortunately, in the end, BYUN was just able to hold on. And that's kind of when he's at his scariest. You think you've won, so you go for that big push, that one attack that is going to break his back. And then all of a sudden, he mounts a defense. The Widowmines take down your Banelings. The Mutalisks in the sky not doing the damage that they need. And those +3 armor upgrades keeping his units alive. So I just think BYUN, if BYUN holds on in that situation, I give him like an 80% chance of winning the game. He's just that good. And this is not some ladder legend. This is Solar, who is arguably one of the best Zergs in Korea and the world. I think he's ranked like number 5 or 6 in the world right now. I'd have to check the OlimoLeague ratings just to check that. But regardless to say, both these players are very active as well in the online scene. Obviously over here at Alpha X, we do see BYUN playing a show match. It feels like pretty much every other day. While Solar, you see him a lot in the ESL Pro tourneys. You see him do a bunch of show matches. And you also see him stream a bit as well, which is really fun to see because he always is so vocal about his strategies and how he decides to go about things. Now, nothing too crazy going to be coming out of this game. It does look like BYUN's going to be going for the Hellion style as he drops the factory right on top. Now, I got to say, the amount of Marines, I don't want to assume, but from what I know, this is starting to look a little bit like a Hellbat timing. Now, the reason I say that is because he did get those 3 Marines, and they can be pretty defensive with that. But we also have the medevac coming down, which means I feel like we're going to see that armory dropping in just a second. And there it is. So this is going to be crazy. Solar has to get a scat out of this. He has to know what's going on if he is to defend it. But BYUN just being very cautious here, making sure that this isn't scouted. I don't know if that Ling actually saw it. He might have seen the shadow. But anyway, this has got to start ringing alarm bells in his head. Spine Crawler going down. Extra Lings, extra Queens, just extra anything that you can pump out in time. This is actually a pretty crisp opening right now. Hitting at the perfect time when a lot of those Lings haven't actually popped yet. But now BYUN coming on in here. These Hellbats taking out quite a bit of the defense. The medevac does go down, but he's already on top of the Queen's morphing. Still quite a few Marines left with this as well, so he's just going to rally a couple of additional Hellions across the map and go straight for the Queens. And Solar just not able to defend right now. He's going to need to rely on the reinforcements to clean this up. I love how he's just going for the Queens as well. That's going to really slow down the production of Solar because he's not going to have those larva injects to stabilize off of that. He killed 6 Queens and 34 Lings. That's an insane amount of damage, forcing Solar off his economy for as long as possible. And he's actually not done just yet. Going to send another Hellion run by. BYUN is just all over the place right now. Now Banshee in the back going to be wailing away on everything. The Hellbat's in the front. Honestly, I would have liked to see him actually just keep those as Hellions and then push his way forward. As the Banshee forces those drones off the mineral line, you just send in the Hellions and get the line up there. But I digress, as BYUN is not done with this just yet. Getting off a couple more drones. We're getting taken down, and that is a lot of lost mining time that he has already been forcing out of Solar as well. So even though it hasn't been a ton of direct damage, a lot of indirect damage has come down. And he still just keeps finding these small locations. He's within 4 workers of his opponent. And as I say that, the next big drone spike came. But, you know, Solar, he's got the layer up. He's going for a couple of upgrades. And he's got the Spire in play as well. I think the Mutalisks are one of his best options to kind of get some more counter damage done. As we've seen BYUN not really throwing down any static D until he's seen it. But, yeah, I don't think BYUN's really going to try and give him any time here, as we're going to be seeing him come across with just a small smattering of units. The additional Hellbats with this push are going to make it a lot more powerful. There are a lot of Banelings, and they are about to have that centrifugal hooks. So fighting off creeps not going to be a huge issue, but BYUN being very patient right now, does not want to push onto the creep unless he has to. You know, this is one of the things I was kind of saying in some of the previous series. Once BYUN gets to this kind of parade push, he just doesn't really give you a lot of room to breathe. Like right now, a lot of those Banelings soaked up by the Hellbats, so there are still Marines in the back. The Muta's in the sky going to help out a lot, but they do take a pot shot from one of those Widow Mines. And although the Widow Mines do get cleaned up, BYUN is just going to keep the push rolling. One thing about BYUN to note is that sometimes he does kind of sacrifice that late game for this mid-game to early game pressure. And that can cost him a lot of time, a lot of energy. And it really kind of just hurt him in the later stages. So that's why we probably will see him try and close it out before the late game. Just based off of what I'm seeing, but you know, he is doing a good job of kind of deflecting these mutalisks. Even feeling confident enough that he doesn't need some supply, attacking his own supply depot. And from here, he's going to shoo them away. So not a lot of damage done with the mutas so far, but the ball is only going to be getting bigger as the Solar adding on more and more. Coming in here, he has a pretty good army, up over 30 supply. Man is going to be coming in, trying to get those juicy connections, but not able to really find them. There are still plenty of Marines with this push. And BYUN, while he doesn't have any siege tanks, he's still going to siege up this position with those Widow Mines in the back, going to make any sort of fight off of creep very costly for Solar. Really backing him into a corner here, as you really can't even kind of bait those Widow Mine shots without investing a lot of blinks. So Solar actually just going to sacrifice this position while sending a small run by of those mutalisks across the map. Plus scans are going down, as well as we see that Solar's going to be going up to that infestation pit behind this. So he's going to want to go up to Hive off the back of this. And like, I think that's kind of his best option here. Otherwise, he's going to fall behind, very far behind in terms of upgrades. Now, BYUN going to feel confident enough to go home. Solar going to try and catch him, but the Widow Mines do burrow in time. And really from here, BYUN is completely maxed out, so he can take some pretty efficient trades. Even going to be splitting up his army to try and get this bit of a 1-2 punch. Widow Mine's not able to get the connection, but it has forced Solar's entire army to defend it. Thor not going to get taken out. Actually going to get some pretty nice shots off, as BYUN going to be moving in towards the third base. And there is absolutely nothing here to defend, so he is set up in position with these free splits. That was a really iffy fight there for Solar, fighting without the Banelings. So while BYUN is going to start to get cleaned up on the retreat, he is going to make it worth his while. A ton of those mutalisks going down. And now we already see his second army going to be moving on the creep and kind of just converging. Look at this fight. BYUN definitely should not have gotten as much damage as he did, killing over 17 of those mutalisks. Meaning that now Solar is going to have to rely purely on the Lings and the Banes in order to defend this. But there's now enough Marauders to soak up the hits from the Widow Banelings. 7 more workers going down, and that is going to be it. BYUN taking the series 2-0, and he will move on to the finals off the back of this. So we're going to get that casted up as well. I'd like to thank you all for tuning into this replay cast. If you like what you see, then go ahead and hit that like, follow, and subscribe, and also check out all our social media platforms to see when we go live next. Thank you all so much for tuning in, and we will see you at the next big event.